Now we're going to dry brush to strengthen up again with Bittersweet. Again, it's not out as far as we went with our burnt umber. So all of those places, and again, this isn't the final, so this is going to strengthen up these main areas. The muzzle itself, we're going to come out and do quite a bit. So it's going to be nice and strong. So I come right from the muzzle. And when you get into the little creases in your board, it always makes a difference, but don't worry about that. I'm going to really nicely darken up underneath. Again, this is more of a strengthening of areas. So it doesn't have to be absolutely everywhere that we did before. It's just strengthening up these spots. Nice and soft, and just scuff it outwards. I am going to put a little more in this area. And I'm going to bring a little more up from the eye. Come down here a bit more. Let's see. And I'm going to now switch again. Remember, we used our lunar blender to get more defined areas. Well, I want to have this just a little bit more defined. I'm going to come in here a bit more. And again, the same thing above the eye. Nice and strong. Using the lunar. The lunar we're able to kind of precisely put it where we want to. And I'm just going to add a couple of dark little spots up in there. And then the lunar blender again, because I've got that nice sharp chisel to go ahead, I'm going to come in here and really define that line. So it really defines our jawline. I'm still going to come in here and strengthen with this one a little bit more, coming away from the muzzle. And he's got this jaw, you see his lip down here, So let's just define, just like we did up here by the eye. I'm going to bring a little more of that dark in front of the eye. Bring a little bit down the side of his face there. That's nice. So that's looking a little better, giving us a little bit of definition here. Okay, I think I'm still going to come in and darken up. We are going to be shading, and it is going to enhance everything stronger, but I still want that strength from the dry brush chisel here. There. There, I'm liking that. And I think we can come up here and do a little bit more by the ear. Pull that down a bit so you can see a bit more. I'll come in here. And I'll strengthen a little bit right there as well. Yeah, that looks better. I think that's not too bad now. Yeah, I think I will take the dry brush and come over here a bit more. I don't want it defined like I have here, but I do want to have a nice bit more of the soft shadow. When we bring this mane out here afterwards, we're going to be using some plaster to define it. Now that's optional. You don't have to use the plaster. Supposing you just want to do the mane in brush strokes, that's fine. Okay, so that is nice and softly put in there. I'm thinking the middle is looking too light. So I'm just taking a little of the bittersweet. I want to softly come from there. I'm not pressing hard, and I am using the, not the lunar blender. Yeah, just a little scuff on here is helping. Yeah, that's, I'm not wanting to push it back. I just don't want it jumping up so much to me. So that's not too bad. Now the horse has a lot of muscle and character on his face. I think we could bring a little bit more over this way towards the eye too. Yeah, I think that's looking not too bad. I don't want as much on the ear as shown either. Yeah, okay. So this is the bittersweet. And I am gonna be coming in even with stronger. But right now, I'm good with this. Now remember, before we dry brush on top of everything again, any other next layers, we do want to dry it. So it does need to be blow dried. Alrighty. We're gonna shape the nostril with the quarter lunar blender, dry brushing. With khaki tan. I'm going to come over here and dry brush a little bit outside of the nose, or nostril, pardon me. And now I'm going to dry brush a little bit along that edge of it. I'm going to come a little too far here. So I'm just going to dry brush a little bit of the black brown back in here. Yeah. Yeah, I like that better. Now I'm still got khaki tan. So we're going to dry brush a little bit to shape the lip. And then I'm going to come on top again, just up a little bit from where my line would be. So I'm using the 1/4 lunar blender to do all that. And I'm just going to softly scuff out there. So, and then I'm going to take a little bit of the black brown and just kind of create a little bit of almost just dents or shapes in the nose. In throughout the dry brushing we just did. Darken along the bottom. This is with the black brown. Now I'm also going to take the black brown. We dry brushed bittersweet here, but I'm just going to strengthen up. I need a bit more black brown. Scuff it off on my towel. And dry brush along the edges. We're not looking for solid. We just want to strengthen, and it's just going to give us a little bit of texture here and there. I'm going to put a little of the black brown just in there, a little in there, and I'm going to put a little in that spot where we darkened with the bittersweet. A little along there. That's not too bad. I'll strengthen by the nose, right in the front of the eye. A little V, dry brushing. And I'll strengthen the very bottom of the ears. I guess I have to pull the thing down for you to see that. Just right there and there on the ears. So that's not looking too bad. Giving them a little more definition. I think I'll come down here just to get a little All right. I'm going to start on the eye by shading burnt umber. I'm going to use my 3/8 flat, or you can use a number 10. So a 3/8 flat or a number 10. And I want to shade burnt umber along the front, but I'm leaving that little triangle part at the front of the eye. So we're shade burnt umber and walk it out a bit. Now, we'll let that dry. I'm going to take a little tiny bit of khaki tan, and I'm going to bring just a little just a little float, and I'll blot with my finger coming from the back end. I'm going to give a quick dry to the eye for a second. Sorry guys. I just didn't want to stop the camera for that. Okay, so we're going to take khaki tan again, side load, and I'm going to side load in the front, just kind of over that burnt umber a little bit. I may strengthen that up with a little bit of a dry brush after, if I don't get it as bright as I want. That's not too bad. And then I want to have a little kind of a wedge floated, and I'm going to be using light mocha, and I want that to be back here, sort of a little wedge shape, and I'll just blot that. I might want to strengthen up the one that kind of faded away more than I wanted of the little bit of khaki tan right here, so I'll just float that a little bit brighter. Yeah, that's more what I want. And I am going to brighten up that, and I guess I'll do it with a dry brush. Come up a little bit more in there. Yeah. Now as that sets a bit, I'm going to dry brush just a little scratch of light mocha. Once that's all dry, I'm going to take lamp black and float along the top. So it's going to kind of subdue it. I'm still using my number 3/8 brush, or number 10. So that just float along the top, and I'm going to strengthen a little lamp black in that little corner there. I'm going to take my black brown, and I'm going to slide my brush on the chisel, and I'll just come off a bit like that. Now, if you would rather use, some people would prefer to use their liner or a small round for that. It's whatever you're more comfortable with. Then I'm going to take my khaki tan with my liner and go along that. I still want to see some of that black brown underneath there. So if I took it all out, I'll put a bit back. I'm going to take black and I'm going to pull lashes with my liner. Once I've got those on, I'm going to take khaki tan with the liner and come back from the end of the lashes. I'm not wanting them to look quite as fine as they look. It's not a Maybelline, Miss Maybelline eyelashes. There, a little choppier. That's not too bad. And then I want to just kind of dry brush a little of the black brown. Just going to take my little 1/8 lunar and dry brush in front, in that V in the front of the eye. That's with the black brown. And I'm going to do a little bit above. And below. I'll clean that off. And I'm going to dry brush a little khaki tan. Just with the tip of the brush. It's like a scratch, actually. And then just in the middle of it, a little tiny bit of light mocha. Not the whole thing, it's just going to round it out a little bit. And I'll do a little swipe of that light mocha up top. And brighten up that little section there. It's not too bad. Yep, that looks not too bad. Our light mocha is also going to be used to dry brush. So I'm just going to take about a 1/4 dry dome stippler dry brush. Bounce it off on my palette. And now I'm just going to bring that back out a bit. So you can see that we're going to dry brush some highlights. Now this is not intended to be like a whole big circle. This is going to be, you see I've got here, here, and a little of our, what we'll call our cheekbones. We'll put a little up here, and then I want to put it down on his chest. I still would like a little bit more, a little brighter in that section. Yeah. And then I'm going to have the light popped in here. That's not too bad. And I will dry brush a little of the light in the front of his ears. And I still could go for a bit more in here. That's pretty good. And we're going to shade a little bit of black along the inside. Once I find my, there we go, left it in the brush basin. I'm going to take a little of the lamp black and I'm going to shade inside the ear. The back, that's going to press it back. Same thing here. I try to reach too far. The only issue with these larger boards like this, and I'm trying to keep it in the camera without swinging it around and making you too dizzy. All right, a little right here. So that just kind of gives a little bit more dimension to our ear. And I'll pick up some light mocha and I'll just do a couple of swipe highlights. And I'll put a little of the burlap as a highlight kind of along the edge, because that edge of the ear is not really seen. Okay. Okay, that's looking pretty good. And then we want to do a bit of shading. So my shading, I'm going to take a 12 or a ½ inch and shade on my ears. And I'm going to take my black-brown mix. My plan is to shade along the base of the ear and the back. Same thing here. Giving a little bit of drama. I'm going to come along the front of his nose. I'm just kind of starting part way down where our dark is with the black-brown and shade along the muzzle. Want a little, shape that a little bit where I'm a little messy off the edge. Nice and soft down the front. You see the drama that adds in there. I'm going to shade a little bit just to strengthen up. Around that eye, in front of that ear, under this chin. But you don't want it to look like a continual shading line where it's like a trim on something. We just want to add a little bit of strength. Nice and soft. Pop it up. I'm going to come up here a little bit too. You see how I'm leaving this part on the front? I'm going to put a bit more under there. Now our mane is coming back out there. khaki tan a little bit further and a little bit heavier. Yeah, I like that better. Yep. I'm going to bring a little and then we'll take a little of the light mocha where we did the back and just a little line of a highlight. Don't blot that one in, just leave that one there. Pop it up and pop it up. Those are both done with the liner and the light mocha. I still have my liner, and I'm going to take some khaki tan, and I'm just going to swipe. It's just a thin line, just to bring up the highlights that we dry brushed in those places. I don't want it to be a bright, pull your eye to it. Just a little bit of brighter than what we got with our dry brush, our chisel of our dry brush. Okay, so he's coming nicely, and now our next step is going to be the mane. So I'm going to take my modeling paste or texture paste, and I'm going to spread it to bring it out on, and then we're not doing the entire mane in paste. And I'll be pulling and shaping it actually once I get them laid in here with my brush. So I apply them, so you see I'm just going to come along, and I want to have them like strands, like in a row. And if you put it on and you think, oh, I wish I had it thicker here or there, you can always build back on top of it afterwards. So once it dries and you think, oh, I'd like to have it heavier, that can happen. So I've got my texture paste kind of layered on. Looks like he's getting a dye job. And not a good one. Okay, that's not too bad. I can always add more if I'd like. Okay, so now I'm going to take, I can use a lunar blender, I can use a rake brush, we can use, I'm just going to dig through here and see what we would like to use. I've got my filbert rake, so let's try that. And I'll just pull those off in little wisps, and you see how I can bring the layers over top of each other. So you see how it gets wispy. And I'll pull them and they'll come off in the layers. And I'll curve the directions with them. This is going to look really cool. It might not right now to you, but it is going to be quite cool. And as I'm dragging the brush through here, you might not realize it, but it's giving me lots of little wispy hair. I don't know how well it's going to show on the camera like that. Take that thick one back. I don't really want it that thick at the end there. So that's not looking too bad. I do want to take it back smooth by the ear. It's not sticking up above it. Yeah, that's not too bad. I think I'm going to bring a little more height back here than I had with the drawing. I think I could have a few more wisps coming out that way as well. So you see how I don't want it to part like a comb. I want the mounds of hair to be overlapping each other, so it's kind of like blowing all tasseled. That looks pretty good. Okay, so we're gonna let this dry, and then we will be adding the color to it, and I'll be bringing some fine wispies off of the edge of it too. I want this to be a nice soft, real fluffy looking mane. All right, so now it's time to leave it dry.